The franchise recap hit season 20, Cutthroat. Airing October to December 2010, this season saw 30 cast members, plus 2 others, head off to the Czech Republic for our now customary 10 episodes, 2 specials, and as always, a share of 300,000 plus prizes. Big round numbered season meant a new era of the game and a whole bunch of evolutions in statistical history. 3 teams for the first time, rarely seen since, which is a bummer because maybe it's just the Survivor fan in me, but I kind of love the 3-team format. We had our first non-real world Road Rules Fresh Meat player with Camilla coming from the Spring Break Challenge. And of course, the first ever use of mercenaries, which we will be coming back to very, very soon. Quickly, though, first, stats-wise, 2 big things happened here. Brad set the then record, maybe still record, I'm not totally sure, for most seasons before winning for the first time, with this being his 8th try when he finally got it done. And on the bummer side of things, this was Derek's 3rd time losing the elimination right before the final, which is kind of wild to consider. He'd also just won 3 seasons in a row, so he was basically always either winning or losing the last elimination right before the final. I won't make you wait like normal. Let's hit the topic you are all here to discuss, and then we will circle back to the full cast storylines and moments. The Bananas backpack. The most legendary moment in show history, maybe reality TV history, when CT came in and went full cyborg and made poor Johnny Bananas a forever meme. Mercenaries had never been used. This time they were called heavy hitters in this, inaugural iteration. But once introduced, it was just obviously a great concept and a great way to get more cast members involved, manufacture some extra quick storylines to drop into a season. It's pretty much worked every time they've ever done it. And obviously the very first time it worked incredibly well. It was CT and Tina brought in, but with respect to a woman who I love and adore and is a challenge legend, this became about CT, and that's what we're going to focus on here right now. Some say he was, briefly banned from the show prior to this, but let's be real, he missed 1 season, and then he was back as a mercenary. So if there was a ban, it was the dumbest ban of all time. It was 1 single season. He'd had 2 DQs for punching incidents. Obviously, the second one, the Duel 2, being very scary and very horrible. So while he maybe wasn't banned, this was at least a way for them to test the waters of bringing him back into the fold without putting him as a full-time cast member, both to see the reaction from fans and everyone else around the show, as well as actually from him himself. And when he got there, he was gassed up, he was ready to go, and he was probably at or near his peak physical abilities. So it was going to be a nightmare for whoever played him. They let him loose, and he did unbelievable damage. When they walked in, we did lose out on the true rematch of friends turned rivals, Tyler and Johnny, as they'd both end up facing CT in a game called Back Up Off Me, where he sat back-to-back tied together in On Go, tried to drag the other to your end of the arena, which is a super-duper cool game. I absolutely love this as an elimination. I do think, though, it makes 0 sense to use this as a mercenary setup. I know it gives us this obviously iconic moment, but as Johnny and Tyler and CT have all pointed out, going first in this is a death sentence and a complete and utter disadvantage. Tyler would have likely won this no matter what, even if he went first versus CT. He was taller and heavy enough to match CT into a stalemate that I think even going first, he would have been able to hold a stalemate for CT for a good amount of time, longer than Bananas would have. But the idea that if Bananas would have got to go second here, I don't think the backpack is in play if CT has had to wear himself out a little bit versus Tyler, but doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter if it was a fair fight, if it was a little silly. It happened. It's iconic. It turned CT into an even bigger star than he already was, and is one of the major moments in the never-ending saga of these 2 men who are the 2 GOATs of the franchise, at least on the men's side, and really overall in the 2 faces of the franchise that have been doing this for, I can't even say how many years at this point, because it's so many seasons. Bananas is now on over half of the flagship seasons. It's wild, it's crazy, and it's the most memorable moment. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled programming. This cast is fantastic, And one of my favorite things about the season is that everyone in the cast basically gets a storyline. They really spread the love around in a great, great way. On the red team, you had Brad and Tori's relationship, Brandon always being thrown in, Camilla always being thrown in, plus being attracted to Bananas and that pissing her team off. Tyler stress eating while probably secretly being the best player there. Chet injury DQ. Paula gets screwed again, which Justice for my girl, my favorite, Paula. Dunbar finally realizes his potential. Then over on blue team, Easy's overcoming Laurel's ridicule. Katie's battling back from injury to win some limbs. Doesn't yell at anyone this season. Incredible stuff from her. Ty and Emily as rookies bring a lot of drama to this house. Jen was the vet leader. Bananas is much more nice and quiet without his buddies. And Derek's the ultimate professional at this point. And then on the great team, you had Sarah and Laurel dominating while talking shit about the C players on their team. Abram and Kara's big romance was one of the biggest storylines. Dan overcoming alcoholism, Vinny being trash. I mean, I just named 75% of the cast or more. So really, outside of the rookies that were early exits in episode 1 or 2, everyone got screen time. Everyone got story time here. Competitively, it's super even and interesting all the way through. The gray team wins 5 of the 9 dailies, but internally are a mess, again, with Sarah and Laurel pitted against Kara and Abe. The blue team looks amazing right up until the Bananas backpack moment starts a downward spiral that literally never stops. And the red team plays it smart and, sorry for the pun title use here, but cutthroat the whole time, hanging on to a fearsome foursome that could dominate a final, which they do. Other memorable moments that need mentioned here. There's another draft, which is another amazing time. A draft always and will forever work. Please do one every single season, Challenge Gods. Abram and Kara's romance highlighted by their first hookup was, the one we see the most of or see the most after effects of, but there are many painting or scratching sessions that followed. It was a big storyline all season. Katie getting bitch slapped by the water. It was a horrible fall, rebounds from it, wins some limbs. Love Katie. Bananas getting in a bar fight with a local. TJ showing up to the house, asking Easy and Luke to shave without telling them why. All the theories that come from this before they get to the arena and then play the fly swatter challenge that I think essentially the challenge producers invented the power slap league with this elimination. Then we had Ty throwing plants on beds before gassing out when Brandon just overpowers him during Brandon's very solid sophomore run. Laurel and Paula wrestling naked. And of course, the winning moment. And as much as Tyler stan over here, I love just watching Tyler win. This moment, respectfully to the other 3, was about Brad. Brad being named champion after 8 seasons. So many close calls. Really, really fantastic way to end. It's a really, really good season. No episode slips, tons of storylines, good competition, solid moments, plus the one most iconic moment in challenge history, and plenty of history and evolutions. It has to be in the great tier. I'm slotting it at an A-, leaving the question of where all these now kind of stacking up A- seasons go in comparison to each other, leaving that for another day. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the upcoming Battle of the Eras season coverage. Tune in tomorrow for another contender for the greatest season ever breaking down.